these ones. Describe the transformations performed of the parent functions of the square root of x and the cube root of x. We're literally just going to list them out as like bullet points as we've done before. So looking at number 11, there's 3 things happening, but I might list them out as 2 bullets. Okay, what about the negative out in front? What does that do? Reflect. If it's out in front, if it's outside of the expression, reflects across over the x-axis, like vertically. Ramon, we close that for now. And then we look inside of the root. Inside is a liar. That's what you'll hear me say a lot today. It does opposite. Wow. Opposite of what you would think. If it's x minus 2, you go which way? Right. And then minus 3 takes you what you would think down. If the a value is greater than 1, it's a stretch, and it makes it like lower or taller. Do you remember? Because it's multiplying the y values. If it's between 0 and 1, it's a shrink because it compresses it, makes it wider, shorter. So I have 1/2. This is a shrink. We're going to say it's a vertical because that's important for today. You have to distinguish. Vertical, shrink. Wow, does not look like an S. Shrink by a factor of 1/2. It's getting shorter. And then you got that lovely plus 3 at the end, which takes it which direction? Only inside is a liar, so it takes it what you would think, up 3. Um, 13 is where it gets weird. And this is stuff that you have not actually learned before. So 13, you do have that minus 4, which will take it down. That's normal. But you'll notice you have a 2 inside of a root, which is not something that we have done before. If the a value is out in front, then it is a vertical stretch or shrink. But because the a value, or whatever this value here is inside is a liar. And so you would think, okay, I've got a 2. It's going to take it and it's going to stretch it. But this is horizontal. And everything that happens inside of an expression is opposite of what you would think. So it's actually not a stretch by 2. Like it looks like it's multiplied by 2, but it's actually, do you know what it's doing? Dividing by 2, which is so weird. And I don't have like an excellent way to explain it to you other than I have to show it to you on a graph and show it to you on Desmos for you to see what's happening. So this is actually a horizontal, because it's inside of the root. Horizontal shrink, you would think it'd be a stretch, it's not. Horizontal shrink by a factor of 1/2. So it looks like it's multiplying by 2, but because inside of an expression is a liar, it's actually division by 2. The last thing, make sure you write down it goes down 4. Can you please list out the 4 transformations? Just bullet them out for me. So if you got your laptop open, go ahead and close it for now. We'll try and get through this as fast as we can. Okay, you should have a reflection over the x-axis. Stretch, vertical stretch by a factor of 3. And then it goes left 6, up 1. All right, you can go to the next page. We're doing some stuff with graphs. This is something we've done from last semester. So using the graph of the parent function, we'll graph the new function that's given. Look at number 15, and let's just list out what transformation is happening. I have an a value of 2 out in front. So what's it going to do? Yeah, it's a vertical stretch by a factor of 2. Meaning it's going to get narrower. What that means you're going to do is you're actually going to multiply your y values by 2. So this is something you've done before. Okay, so multiply your y by 2. Oh, yeah. Just juggling. Hold on. There we go. Multiply y by 2 because it's vertical, and vertically we have the y values. So we're going to write down our points that we see, and then we will multiply them and get some new points, okay? So if my original points are at 0, 0, I'm sorry about the grid lines, 1, 1, and 4, 2. Then I multiply by y by 2 because it's an a value of 2 out in front. That's a vertical stretch. I did this earlier too. I don't know why I did 0, 1. It's 0, 0. Okay. When I multiply those, I get 0, 0 still. 1, 2, only the y value gets multiplied. And then the x value stays the same. 4, 4. If you want to add one more point, you also could add a point at 9, 3, which would get you 9, 6. Okay, so if that helps you to add one more point, then go ahead and plot it and write it down. Okay, and then at this point, you're just plotting those new points. On Delta Math today, you will just take the point and like literally drag it to where you want it to go to make it taller. So now graph your new points. You have the same 0, 0, but then you have a point at 1, 2, 4, 4, and 9, 6. So you will notice, hopefully, that it stretches a little bit and does get taller or narrower. Part of what we're reviewing here is finding the domain and the range. So the domain, a reminder, domain is the x values from left to right. So when I say domain, I want to know, okay, what's the furthest left it goes? Right, 0. And then going to the right, where is it going? Where's it headed? Do you remember? Infinity. Yeah. So this is a review. To do domain, we write it, you can write it as an inequality or you can write it as brackets. So I'll try and do a couple ways today. This one goes from 0, it's a closed point, to comma infinity. You cannot put a point at infinity, so remember that one has to be parentheses. This is review. And good to do before the ACT, so it's good. Okay, where is the range? Range, again, goes lowest to highest. So what's the lowest y value? 0. And then it goes up and up and up and up and up to what? Does it stop at 6? No, it keeps going to infinity. So same thing actually here. 0 to infinity. Okay. So list out the two transformations for number 16. Inside of an expression is a liar, so x minus 1 takes it which way? Right, yeah, opposite of what you think. Right 1, outside's not a liar, that goes up 3. Okay, so that's an easy one, or at least it would be if your grid lines were a little bit better, so I apologize about that. You're just taking each point and moving it right 1, up 3, just like you would in like geometry to do a translation. So take each of your points, and I'll start with the bottom left one and just take it literally right 1, up 3, right 1, up 3, right 1, up 3, again and again, so that you get a nice new graph. And then we'll try and make sure it looks the same, just in a different location. Do you remember what this is called when you're just doing like a slide? Translation. Yeah, okay. Something like that. Try and make it look the same. It's the same exact graph in a different spot because all you did was shift it. Okay, domain and range. Domain goes left to right, so looking left to right. Where's it at on the left side? Looks like it keeps going and going. Where is it at? Negative infinity, and then it goes to the right, and where's it at? Positive infinity. So I'm not gonna, you can do negative infinity to positive infinity, remember in parentheses. I'm not going to do that because I want you to get used to another way of saying it. Do you remember you can say all real numbers? A good vocab to know for the ACT. Okay. And then likewise, looking up and down, it kind of looks like it would stall out, but it actually doesn't. It gradually keeps going up and down forever, and so that's also all real numbers. Negative will make it reflect over the x-axis. By the way, if you see a negative inside of a root today, that would make it reflect over the y-axis because it's horizontal. And then we go left 1, down 2. Okay, you have to do this guy first because anytime you have a multiplication, so any a value has to happen first. So any kind of reflection or stretch or shrink has to happen first. If you want to make a note like at the top here, anything that's multiplication has to go first. So doing that first, we'll go back. Here. Okay. You might remember last semester, you'll see me do like little X's to mark the spot. It's not your final answer. It's just like this is our in-between transformation. So that one's still there. If it reflects over, you're just counting, making sure it goes the same number the other direction. So it reflects here. This guy is 2 above, so it needs to flip and go 2 below the x-axis. And then if you want to get one more point, you could choose like 9, 3 and flip it over, and that would bop it over there. So that's like your in-between reflection. But you're not done, right? Because what do we still need to do? Left 1, down 2. Okay, so we'll take each point, not the original, these ones, the x's, take them left 1, down 2, and then we get a lovely graph here. It should look like this one, but obviously it's been flipped and now it's been shifted. Okay, we're going to find the domain and range of that one. Sorry. The domain from left to right. Okay, where is it at on the left side? This guy. I think it's at -1. And then we go to the right, and it's going where? Where's it headed? Infinity. Okay, I'm going to write this one a little bit different. You could do it in brackets and stuff, but just for the sake of reviewing a couple ways to write this, you can also write it as an inequality. So I could say the x values are all greater than or equal to -1. Or you can do in brackets, -1, infinity. But since you have the ACT coming up, it's probably beneficial. Okay, the range, lowest to highest. Where is it at on the low end? -infinity, and then it goes up to -2. And so you are going to write it as range. It goes from -infinity to -2. But what this actually is saying that all the y values stay here or lower. So you can also write it as y values less than or equal to -2. As an alternative of doing the brackets, okay? So the cube root function is like this. It tells us it's been reflected over the x-axis, so where's my negative go if it's reflected over the x? In front. And then shrunk horizontally by a factor of 1/2. Those are the weird ones. If it says horizontally, anything horizontal goes inside. So an inside's a liar. So since it says shrink by 1/2, you are actually going to make it opposite what you would think, 2x. Horizontal goes inside of the root. Inside is a liar, okay? If you have a square root of a negative number, like say if you have something like this, square root of -6, or not even that. Yeah, sure, -6. What's going to happen? What are you going to get? I, which is terrible, right? Okay, we're trying to avoid this because you can't graph imaginary things. At least you don't know how. Unfortunately, I have to do that in my master's classes. But we're not going to graph things that are imaginary, and so we don't want this to be negative because then you can't graph those points. So you need to make sure that the inside the root stays positive. So inside of the root of root needs to be positive, needs to be greater than or equal to 0, or you get an I. Not only do we not want to avoid that, but you can't graph that. So we are going to only do things that are greater than or equal to 0, which means that all you have to do to figure out the domain, meaning what x values would work, the x values that would work would be anything that makes this inside part greater than or equal to 0. So x minus 5 has to be greater than or equal to 0. You literally just write it out, and then you solve. So I would do what to get x by itself? Add. So I know that x needs to stay greater than or equal to 5, otherwise we're going to have a problem. So I put a 4 in there, then I get -1, then I have an I, and how are you supposed to graph that? You can't. So that is saying that your domain has to be greater than or equal to 5. Can you try G, and then we're done. And whenever you have this, you can go ahead and work on your assignment. It is on Delta Math today. The graphing is a little funny sometimes, so if you have any questions as you work on it, just let me know. So domain has to stay x values greater than or equal to -2.